Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another edition here of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It is Season 2, Episode 32. We are coming off the back of a emergency pod regarding of Mike Vrabel being unveiled as the head coach of the New England Patriots. Tonight, we are going to be dissecting through the press conference of what he had to say through that. And I can safely say I'm ready to run through a brick wall with this manager. We've got Nick, we've got DJ, we've got Kieran on with us this evening. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, tell all your friends, follow us on all our social media platforms, follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. And a big shout out and a hello to everyone that is watching us on Twitch as well. But for now, we're going to get cracking on with the show. Gentlemen, good evening. How are we doing?
All good.
All good. All good, mate.
Encouraged.
Yeah.
I think, encouraging is the right word. Encouraging is certainly the right word. Basically, the two words that come straight off the bat was his two quotes he put, which was, it was time to go to work and cutting out entitlement or something along those lines. It's what we was expecting with Mike Vrabel. You know, it's not the flashy hire. It's quite bland, quite boring, you could say. But a little bit of bland and boring is probably what the doctor ordered. Because in this situation, we needed there's a lot wrong with this franchise, a lot wrong with this team, and it needs a headstrong coach to sort this out. And Mike Vrabel is that person. Is that person to do it. So we're going to crack on with some of the comments that he said during the press conference. Let's get the transcript up from Patriots.com. Here we go. I am not going to, as I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail regarding of this. He basically talked about his respect for Robert Kraft. He said he's humbled. He's very grateful. He said there's a lot of people there helping him get to this point that he said he would thank. He's basically thanked a hell of a lot of people. He's come into this building to basically rectify what has happened. Obviously, for being a coach in Houston and obviously the head coach in Tennessee as well. So he did speak a fair bit regarding of Bill Belichick as well, to be thanking him for everything that he's done and so on. He's excited to get to work. Everyone in this Everyone in this building is going to understand and believe that their job is critically important for our success, and it's going to be how I can help you in order to help the players. Our players will respect and they will appreciate, and they'll be grateful for the opportunity that they have here and the people that work in this building. Some very familiar faces that I can't wait to reconnect and work to figure out how we help these players and this football team. Excuse me. We're going to earn the right to be here every day. We're going to move entitlement from our football team. We're going to get everything that we've earned from the head coach to the position coaches, all the way down to the players. We're going to earn the right to be here every single day. I always say that. I don't want to get into too many messages that will be geared for the players, but I hold those conversations. Those are special conversations between the coaches and the players, but we want to treat every player the same way they treat the team, and we want to treat every employee the same way they treat the team. If they care about the team and they come here with a great attitude and a willingness to work and help the team, I've asked Robert to do everything that we can for them to support them and their families. That's the type of environment I want to build. I'm excited about it. And with that, I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So basically, he was going straight to the point there. He pretty much basically said there will be accountability involved. There will be, everyone will be working hard for their position and their roles and so on. That's not just including the players, it's including the hierarchy as well. Nick, what's your take on what Gerard, mate? No, sorry, beg your pardon. What Mike Vrabel had to say? Yeah, That was a mistake. Sorry.
I like listening. I listened to the audio of the press conference this morning, and a lot of it was how you would expect it to be. Like you said, he came in, he thanked the Crafts, and he talked about how he was here as a player, and as you said, he thanked the people that had been around and the familiar faces that he still sees. Obviously, a lot of the questions then started coming in from various different reporters, and I don't have who asked it, so I can't name check them. But somebody talked about the front office, which sort of perked my ears up straight away. And the impression I got from what he was asked regarding bringing on any frontline staff was that if he brings anybody on, it will be in partnership with the current front office team. So it's not like Wolf's going to get the sack and he's going to, if he brings someone in, it might be in the GM role by name, because obviously Wolf by name doesn't have that role. But I think I got the impression that he and any front office staff he brings in will choose to work alongside Wolf. And I got the impression that Wolf wasn't going anywhere. So I thought that was quite interesting. He didn't really touch on sort of coaching staff per se. But I think, as we discussed on Sunday, really you have to wait for all the interview processes for the head coaching jobs to finish, because it's no good picking a coordinator and then that guy getting a head coaching job. So I think there is that one that obviously if you pick a young upcoming offensive coordinator and you end up going places, in 2 years' time you're going to be looking for another one because he's going to get a head coach role somewhere. So, I don't know. I don't know whether you bring McDaniels back. I don't know, because Josh with a young mobile quarterback is very different from Josh with, say, for example, a Tom Brady who can't run. Matt Jones didn't go downhill until after McDaniels had left. So I wouldn't be against that. I don't think anyone would come poaching him. He's had 2 shots at being a head coach. It doesn't work. We talked about this. He's probably, like in the same case as Spags, for example, he's probably one of those guys that is destined to be one of the greatest coordinators, but he just can't do the head coaching role. So, I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to this. I think, you see the Will Pumpkin video of, the impression of Vrabel in the meeting room, and I just think, it sounds like he inspires, and half that team need inspiring, and the other half need dumping. So,
I was going to say the other half need firing.
Same thing, yeah.
Okay, so moving through, one of the questions I got asked was, you lived through the collaborative process, especially at the end in Tennessee. I'm curious how you view that, and do you have roster control over the draft here with the Patriots? Vrabel responded back, I think the most important thing is there's a shared organizational vision for what we want to do and how we want to work and how we want to acquire players. He said there's numerous ways to acquire players through free agency, draft, trade, post-draft process, etc. Again, I'm just excited to sit down with Elliott and his staff. I've met more with Elliott over the weekend than I have. I've had conversations with him, but I need to sit down with his staff and figure out where we're at and what we need to do. I'm confident that those types of decisions are all going to sort themselves out. We don't always want to be on the same page. That's not the environment we want to create, but we want to have a shared vision, and there's also different ways to get there. I'm embracing that everyone's going to have a different personality. I don't want my staff to be like me. I don't want all our players to be similar. We're going to have diverse ideas, and that's critical. And to be able to have those types of conversations is something I'm looking forward to. So he is basically what looks like he is on board with regarding what Elliot Wolf has said, even though the assistant GM from the Giants, Ryan Cowlin, I think his name is, or I might have butchered this name.
Yeah, from the Titans.
From the Titans, he's on his way to be senior advisor to Elliot Wolf, I believe. I mean, the way I look at that in a nutshell, regardless what everybody thinks that, oh yeah, but Elliot Wolf, he's going to stay with a job, this, that, and the other. I think the writing is on the wall for him, even if this free agency and draft goes reasonably well, because I think at some point there will be a chance for him to clean house in that situation. Yeah. My own personal opinion. What is your plan for offensive and defensive coordinators? Is that solidified already? If not, what's the for fuck's sake, what's the process? I hate this word. No, that's far from solidified. We want to put the best talent coaches in front of our players. When they stand in front of these players, I want the players to embrace what every coach is teaching. I will tell you this, as long as I'm the head coach here, our coaches will have 3 simple jobs, and they sound simple, and they're probably not as simple as we want to make them be. They want to teach, they want to develop, they want to inspire our players by making a connection. We're going to make strong connections with our players so that we can coach them, we can push them. I really believed in this system, and I believe in having great teachers, great developers, and also coaches that will inspire our men by making a connection so that they know exactly what makes them tick. So in all due fairness, he hasn't, Kieran, it looks like he hasn't sorted out what his OC and DC was going to be. But from a lot of earwigs we've been listening to over the last week, it's all finger pointing straight to Josh McDaniels in all affairs, because Tommy Rees, who was also one of the names that was on our list, it looks like he's now been promoted from Titan coach to OC for the Cleveland Browns. So that's probably one name off the board. So by that reckoning, it looks like Josh McDaniels is now the very, very heavy favorite to be OC. Even though it doesn't state it in this quote, I think we can look through the tea leaves here and probably say, yeah, Josh McDaniels is going to be OC.
I mean, he said on WEI today that he's going to spend the next week or so and interviewing candidates. Said that there is a very long list and that Josh is on that. He's already spoke to Elliot Wolf at length about potential coaching targets. So I'd imagine, things are going to go maybe a little bit quiet over the next few days whilst they carry out that process, whilst they kind of shortlist who they want. I think obviously, we've missed out on Tommy Rees, and it does sound as if the Giants don't want Shane Bowen to leave as DC either, who obviously was with Vrabel during his entire time in Tennessee. So
I think they gave him permission though, but I'm not sure to talk.
I read a report that they don't want him going anywhere. So that means that obviously, we thought that potentially was a surefire hire. That's not necessarily going to happen now, but so you're looking for an OC, a DC, and then it'll be a case of they'll probably have to evaluate which position coaches and assistants they want to keep, which ones are going to go. We've spoken on here about Jeremy Springer probably deserves to stay because the special teams were much improved last year. I'm sure there'll be, 2 or 3 other coaches that stick around too, but I would expect the vast majority probably to be gone. And Vrabel to really fill out this staff of experienced assistants. If it's Josh McDaniels, that could spell a return for someone like Chad O'Shea, who was on the staff before. Could be potential wide receivers coach. You could see Wes Welker potentially to come in as receivers coach, or at least assistant receivers coach. So there's going to be lots of names banded around in the next couple of weeks, but I don't think we're going to get an inkling just yet of who it will be for certain. But yeah, I think my major takeaway from this, from Vrabel's press conference as a whole, was it was night and day compared to Gerard Mayo's last year. Like, Vrabel seemed very thorough, very dialed in to what he wanted, answered the questions at length, talked about both the football philosophy and the culture and off the field and kind of how everything will be run as an organization. Last year, we didn't get any of that. It was very much like, oh, we're going to collaborate. And they didn't really, Gerard Mayo didn't really say anything that really inspired. You said it right at the top of the podcast, Carl, that he made you feel like you want to run through a wall for him. I think he's got off to a really good start with this, from his comments, not just on the press conference, but what he said on WEI, what he said on Unfiltered, what he said on the exclusive interview with NBC Boston, because he's done a lot of media in the last 24 hours. And every time he speaks, you're just encouraged by his vision, his direction, his determination, his philosophy, his culture, everything. I think we could not have got a better fit for what we need right now, to be honest. And yeah, I'm really encouraged, really, really encouraged. I know there's a long way to go. It's very early days, but he couldn't have got off to a better start for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like his press conference, his presence was, I don't like to say it this way, but it's very scripted, as in he said the right things at the right time. And he, like Kevin just said there, he was very much, in the last 24, 48 hours, he spent a lot of time with the media. He's gone on to 98.5. He's gone to WII. He's gone on the Unfiltered show. He's gone even chatted to fans and stuff like that. So he's been very media presence in that respect. But I think, yeah, like I say, he's doing the things the right way. And it's, to me, it feels like it's going back to the Patriots way. And that's what he's learned, I think, partially from Bill Belichick, the way he obviously ran the business and how we ran the organization, GM and blah, blah. But it's kind of like bringing us back to what we are used to. Now, in respect to the coordinator side of things, I think we're going to hear, I think they're going to take their time. I do feel they're going to address the front office situation first. I do think Vrabel is going to be very much involved in that front office aspect, whereas Mayo might not have been so much. So I think, yeah, they're going to address the front office situation, and then they're probably going to dig a dive into the OC, DC respect. But there is one name that I wouldn't disregard in us getting as a potential OC, and that's Nick Cayley. I do think Vrabel will bring him in as some kind of offensive side coach, other that being that quarterback or OC. What he's done in the Rams, I think it's phenomenal. So I think that's going to be a top signing for Vrabel. So I don't think it's going to be Josh McDaniel's job to take. I still think they're going to go through the whole process of interviewing and what have you. But yeah, that's who I potentially think Nick Cayley could have a good shout there.
I think there were two things that really stood out to me from this press conference as well. Is the fact that he said about earning the right to be there every day, not just taking it for granted. Like, I think that's important. You know, the team have suffered for the last 5 years. Like, you've got to want to be there and earn the right to be there and work your ass off every day, basically. And the other quote that really stuck out was he turned around and said, "I don't know if we're good enough right now to overcome bad football." And I thought, you've hit the nail on the head, because there were some absolute shambolic moments last season, quite a few of them, and they absolutely killed us. And right now, he's right. We don't have the roster and the ability to overcome moments like that. They seem to always shoot us in the foot, and we always are made to pay for it. So I think he has had a real good evaluation of this roster and the state of the team. He's already referenced talking to Wolf. Like there were already like comments being made about like the O-line, saying, "Oh, our offense starts with the the strength of our O-line." That says to me that he's gone into Elliot Wolf already and said, "Elliot, this O-line is shit. You need to fix it as a priority." Like we are not going to win games unless he's 100%. Probably got in there and gone, "Elliot, why do you think DeMontre Jacobs is an NFL caliber tackle? Like, why have we got a Colander at left tackle?" Like, I think he's gone in already. He said that he spoke to Wolf over the weekend, and then on WEEI today, he said he had another meeting with Elliot Wolf this morning where they went over the roster. So I think straight away he's gone in and gone, right, awful, good here, awful, and I think it's good. Like they're already the wheels are in motion for that. But yeah, you'd be an idiot if you took this job without having seen the state of the roster beforehand. And I think he knows exactly what needs to be done. And
he
I
needs
think
to rebuild it. He's basically first things first. He's going to do is rebuild the trenches.
100%.
He's going to rebuild the O-line. He's going to rebuild the linebacking core because it's a shocking shambles. The pass rush isn't good either. People are screaming for we need to get receivers and this, that, and the other. I personally say this: if you give the quarterback time to go through his reads while the receivers try to get open with the line blocking, it actually does help the matter. But unfortunately, we don't have that many receivers who can get open, bar Keishon Butte and Pop Douglas to a certain degree. But anyway, let's go back. So we got asked a question regarding Drake May. What's your philosophy when it comes to developing a young quarterback? How do you plan on helping Drake May reach his full potential? He put great people around him, which is the obvious thing to do. We have to, I would say, that my involvement would be as it relates to game management and situational awareness and where we are on the football field and trying to develop him as a leader of the offense. Well, in all due fairness, he was already a leader halfway through the bloody season. He was pretty much carrying that team on his back for 95% of the time. And the fact he's already brought himself up to be a leader. He's already commanding the offense already. He was only a rookie. So Drake's already got one step ahead on that one, but a proper coach will actually give him a lot more to do there. Drake is going to be his own person. We're going to give him some things I feel like are necessary to help us win football games. We have to be very efficient passing. We have to be a very efficient passing football team. What did we say? Build the trenches, rebuild that offensive line, because then he'll have time then to throw the ball. What did he say?
I think he also mentioned in WEI about Drake as well, like saying that they need to work with him on you mentioned, Carl, about putting the team on his back. He's saying it isn't efficient to have a quarterback throw the football 50 times a game. We shouldn't be putting Drake in situations where he's having to carry the team on his back and make decisions like what we saw in the game towards the end of the season where he got the concussion. Like, he's trying to get extra yards because there's nothing to help him. He needs to know when to slide. He needs to protect himself at the sticks. He needs to manage himself as well as the team. And the team need to put him in a situation where they're not relying on him to claw them out of the shit all the time. So I think that was a really important thing to reference from him, saying, look, we're not doing enough to support him. And he feels like he's taking this all upon himself to do all this stuff when he shouldn't have to do that. And that is spot on. And not once did you hear Gerard Mayo talk about that.
No. You didn't. So regarding of Ryan Cowden, it's been reported that you'd like to bring Ryan Cowden in, who you have a relationship with, to the Patriots here to help with the front office. Is there something you plan on doing, or is there something else you might bring to the office to help in that role? We've already got a little bit of indication from Adam Schefter today that apparently Ryan Cowden has been released by the New York Football Giants, so he is on his way to New England. The response back from Vrabel was, Elliot and I will have conversations. As it relates to the staff, nothing's been finalized, nothing's been determined. As with any staff, there's going to be turnover. So he's already there. As with any staff, there's going to be turnover, which basically means Elliot Wolf, you're on the clock. in a nutshell, really. There's going to be new coaches and new faces, some that I will have history with and some that I won't. That's what the interview process is about. And that's what we're going to do, as Tom mentioned, with the coordinators, being able to sit down with a bunch of coaches, being able to get the best and the right fit around our players. So this isn't just going to be some whack-a-mole job where you're just going to just shove people in and just say, yep, there we go, we've fitted it. He's going to take his time in picking the right people for their right positions and right descriptions for.
I think the only thing that's kind of like keeping Wolf where he is at the moment is because he's got some kind of, I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of philosophy behind him drafting in this 2025 draft that he couldn't do in 2024 because of the age gap or something. But he does have some kind of strategy, which I think Kraft is very on a plus side on, which is where they're trying to hang on to him and say, right, you've got this 2025 draft to prove to me that this shit that you've saying is going to work. If not, then
bye-bye, see you later.
That's where I think. Yeah, that's where I think he's.
You're referencing DJ the new grading and scouting system, which supposedly was not in place in time for the 2024 draft. So this upcoming draft will be the first time that Elliot Wolf's new system is used. So that's probably what has bought him some time at the end of the day. So the pressure will be on now for him to deliver because things have now changed to how he wants to do things. And if he knocks the draft out of the park, then fair play to him. You know, he deserves credit for that. So now it's a case of people hammered him for last year, including us. And now the proof will be in the pudding because now we're hearing, well, you know, he didn't quite able to run things how he wanted to last year. Well, now you have, and now you've got to perform, and you've got to live up to those expectations. But from everything I've heard from Vrabel in the last 2 days, I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I think he's willing to work beside him, but I do think that, like I said before, Vrabel's going to be very much in that conversation in the front office. Yeah, you're not going to be just restricted to say Vrabel's not going to turn around and say to Wolf, you do your shit up there and I'll do my shit downstairs. No, it's not going to work like that. I think it's going to be a very much everything goes through me. If I agree to it, then we'll go ahead and do it. But
yeah, so you got to give it a bit. Go on, Nick.
I was just going to say I like the fact that this is getting talked about. I mean, we kind of mentioned it about, the difference between Mayo's press conference and this one. But, when you...
Looks like Nick's Wi-Fi is buffed out. Okay, hopefully he comes back
I think
soon.
what I'm trying to say is that you kind of see the difference between the Mayo appointment, how he's been introduced to the team, how Mayo was probably seen as like being a rookie head coach, so not having that much of a say in the top end of the business or the organization, whereas Vrabel's got that very much background of being one as a head coach, very respected in the organization, probably knows how to work things, front office. He's been to Ohio State. He's worked as front office personnel for the Browns, so he's probably got a lot of experience in regards to how things run from A to Z, which is something that I probably, with Mayo, I very much doubted he could have done in his career.
Yeah, he had no personal experience.
Exactly, and I think fulfilling that GM role is probably something that we kind of missed since Bell left. I know he took a lot of control in that aspect as GM, but I think someone stepping into that kind of role, and it might even do Elliot Wolf some good as well to kind of like have someone on that same level to talk to kind of lean on to gather information, to even the scouting side of things. I think Vrabel's pretty much knows how to scout and see who's good and who's not. So to be on that kind of level, same as Wolf, I think it will benefit them both very much. They just need to work on together, and that's how things work. So
I think Vrabel will very much have a type in terms of players as well. Like Belichick had his type. He targeted certain skill sets and height, weight, speed certain players. Like, I don't think Mayo was ever specifying kind of players he wanted. I'm sure he wanted Jake May because of how good he is, but like we're gonna see them target absolute maulers up front in the trenches. Like, you're gonna have a big, bulky, powerful offensive line that's going to dominate the line of scrimmage. You're gonna want he's already talked about the pass rushers.
Fullback.
He wants to bring back a fullback. He said that on Unfiltered, like bring back a fullback. He also talked about a blocking tight end. These are things that we haven't really had for a couple of years. He's talking about being adaptable by playing zone runs and gap schemes and and changing things up so we're not too one-dimensional.
It's going to be a complete playbook.
Honestly,
it's going to be so different.
Yeah, it will be. So
we can't expect everything to be done in year one, though. This is our downfall as well. We've just put in a new head coach, a new scheme, new coordinators, whatever, and we can't expect us to go out. I've seen fucking people put in that we're going to get 10, 11 wins next season. I said, are you fucking for real? I don't expect us to even get 6 or 7. I'll be lucky if we get 6 or 7. Some of them have been saying we should push for 8 or 9. Wild cards.
As it stands, the roster is still terrible. So Wolves and Vrabel have got a lot of work to do before next season. As it current stands, no, we won't win that amount of games. But if we have a home run free agency period where we bring in a lot of talent with our cap space and we smash the draft, we could get 7 wins minimum. But that's to come. People can't see that now because we don't know who's going to be on the team next year.
No, we don't. So Mike Vrabel got asked a bit of a personal question. He put, I know you were inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. You said that this place is special. You've been to a lot of places, but you said that this one is special. What is it that makes it special for you? You put the history of winning and the championships. I would like to thank the teammates that I had here in the 8 years I was here, the teammates I had in Pittsburgh, and the younger players in Kansas City that I learned stuff from. But that's what I mean. The people, the history, the banners that hang in our stadium, they're not going to help us win. But I think it's a great reminder of what it takes to win and the type of people that you have to have in the organization, the selflessness, the work, and the sacrifice that you have to make. So to me, those are great reminders of what it takes. Just because those banners hang, that's not going to give us an advantage on the field, but it's going to give us a blueprint on how hard we need to work and the things we need to be successful. Facts, Mr. Vrabel, absolute facts. Just because we've got 6 Super Bowls hanging in our stadium, it doesn't necessarily mean our team's any good right now. All that is a distant memory now.
Yeah.
It's becoming, So, hang on. And I think that's just Nick. Let's just pop back in unless his Wi-Fi. Okay, when he actually eventually gets back in, we'll carry on. So we eventually had a conversation with Drake May. He put, I was wondering if you had a conversation with Drake May and also what your pressures were of his rookie season watching from afar. My bluntest answer would be, yeah, he's a very, very good quarterback. Unfortunately, he had fuck all to work with, but we can't say that. I'm smiling because I know I look a lot older than I did when I played here. Okay, start off with a little joke. And Carol looks exactly the same way she did when she stood in front of me in the locker.
Yeah, that's the
lady. Whatever you have, I need some of that. I need it. Yes.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with players on our team who that's been with. I'm going to try through the next couple of days, try to reach out to every player and the ones that are here rehabbing and that come through here and the ones that I'll call and talk and ask what I can do to help and where they're at in their off season, how we move forward. Do you know who's the first person I would actually go to? Jalen Polk. And find out what difficulties did you have last season? Because there's no way Jalen Polk could go from the Washington Huskies, the NCAA, have an absolute fantastic back-to-back seasons, come to the Patriots and then completely shit the bed. And I know, obviously, us drafting receivers is about as common as seeing Haley's Comet, but even so, we took him for the second round for a reason.
I think that's one of his positives on this press conference was that he did address the fact that he wanted to understand individually what they're going through as mentality wise as well and help that player develop and what they know and what they don't know. He's very much of a player's coach and that aspect, and that's something that he's going to work on and bring together as a unit as well. It's like understand them individually, and if they have any doubts or concerns or something like with Polk, from all of a sudden from being this massive wide receiver coming out of college into an NFL to being absolute pile of shit. Now, is there a reason for that? Is it been not being coached enough, or I don't know? So I think that's something that he's going to probably work on individually as well.
Nick, you're back on now?
Yeah.
Yep. So basically, we were talking about if Mike Vrabel has had any conversation with Drake May, also what was the impression of his rookie season. He's basically spoken about he wants to talk to every single individual player, and ask what he could do to help and went out in the off season and how he moved forward. He put maybe we drafted him, maybe we sign him as a free agent, maybe we will sign him as a free agent, but none of that will matter. None of that will matter how we got here. The only thing that's going to matter is what we do when we're here, and that's the most important thing that I can tell them, is that everybody in my eyes is starting over, and they will prove to us.
Yeah, I think that's quite interesting.
That they'll make. So we're going to give those players an opportunity. We all have to be ready to take advantage of our opportunities. Some people get more opportunities, some people get less, but we'll guarantee an opportunity. We'll take advantage when it comes along. It's basically he's, saying this is why I say he is a player's coach. He is a player's coach, so he will talk to you. He will, so there's that as well. Talks about his wake in the success with Tennessee. Not really bothered by that. You got the number 4 draft pick. You've got some cap space. I assume Mr. Kraft has told you the checkbook is open. What are some of the top priorities going forward for you to fill some holes in this team? Fill some holes. We've got more than some holes, mate. Oh god, this one's a little bit. This one's a little bit long-winded. Okay, let's see if I can try and dumb this down. I think a player acquisition, I think you look at what's available in free agency and what you can. I feel like you could sign and then see where you come out of that. Look at teams that are able to protect the quarterback and dictate the flow of the game offensively. You make sure that up front we're sound, we're strong, whether that's through free agency or the draft. That's something that's critical. The D linemen, they're getting better every year. They're getting more disruptive. They're getting bigger, more powerful. So as they try to disrupt our quarterback, we have to have some things that counterbalance that. Obviously, personnel is the first way. And then scheme and style, tempo, cadence, all those things that if our players can handle it, then we'll shift, we'll motion, we'll go with different cadences, we'll go on the board, try all these things that cause conflict. But it's going to not be at the expense of the players. It's basically what I just said earlier, Kieran, where it was, you know where he's going to be targeting the first thing, and that's this offensive line, and that's the defense, and that's the defensive line, because that was the 2 fundamental issues. It was so wrong. Tackling was an absolute. There wasn't any. There wasn't any tackling whatsoever. So I think you've got to look at that and go, that's what he's looking for. We have to get to know each other. We've got to peel some layers back so that you can hold each other accountable. There we go. That's the word I was after. If you don't trust the guy to the next you don't believe in him, you don't know anything about his family or how he was raised. When you hold him accountable, then there's pushback. So he obviously talks about the players and who to bring in that, but he kind of just says it all in that first little paragraph there where he talks about the D lineman, talk game offensively. He is talking about the trenches, basically. And I think if you get the trenches sorted, then you help protect the quarterback.
I mean, do you guys feel that Vrabel's going to be very aggressive this upcoming season? Or do you think he's going to be not Mr. Play It Safe, but he's going to be wise in what he does? Because I'm getting vibes of him going, he's just going to fucking go all out. Like, he's got cap money to spare, draft picks to spare. He's not going to be one to scare it to make a trade if he wants to make a trade for the right type of player that will fit his scheme. And that's what I'm, not that I'm a bit wary, I'm quite excited in him doing that, because I don't think we've ever ever had that with Bill where he will just go balls deep on someone that we actually want. I don't know.
I think he'll be aggressive but not reckless.
Yeah,
I think the player turnover in this. We spoke about this previously on the pod, but you could make an argument that you could get potentially 30 new players on this roster by next season because there's a lot of crap on it.
But then, do you think he can actually work with individuals he's got now? Because I don't think he does. He can.
Some of that. There'll be players that you can feel for depth, but you could honestly make an argument. You're gonna acquire what 7, 8 to 10 players in the draft based on
more. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So say that you're then going to have potentially 10 starters coming in free agency. You'd think. And then 10 rotation / backup players. You could 100% see 30 new players on this team next year. I think that is a distinct possibility. Not all of them are going to command massive contracts. There's going to obviously be some guys at the top of free agency that they're going to make a big splash for. But there will be players further down that are going to be good value for money. I.e., look at what Philadelphia done last year. Zach Bourne, 1-year contract, free agent from the New Orleans Saints, all pro. Acquiring the right talented players, and the only reason that Zach Bourne was available and New Orleans moved on from him is because they played him out of position. At Wisconsin, he was an off-ball linebacker, and the Saints played him on special teams as an edge rusher. Goes to the Eagles, all pro. They're the kind of signings you need to make. Take a chance on players. I think there will be a lot of turnover, but I don't think he's just going to go, 30 million to T. Higgins, 20 million here, 30 million, 20, 15, 10. I don't think he's going to throw it about like that. I think it will be calculated, but I still think you will see a lot of new players come in and there will be some high-profile arrivals.
I still think they're going to have to overpay slightly to bring the talent in.
Yes, I think so. But I think Vrabel gives you a pull now. I wouldn't be surprised if some ex-players...
gives you that more experience and that desire to come and work for him. Don't get me wrong. And plus, you've got May.
There's one name to keep an eye out as well, and that is still on the Tennessee Titans, and that's Jeffrey Simmons. He absolutely raved about Mike Vrabel. So, and they have a special connection together. And I don't.
Is he free agent or is he? What's the crack?
No.
I don't.
I think he's still under contract. I think he's still under contract. I don't know.
He did also tweet yesterday that he intends to retire a Titan because someone did tweet him saying about going with Vrabel to New England. But yeah, there'll be players like I'd say. There's a name I'd look out for: Jack Conklin, right tackle, Cleveland Browns.
He's had a lot of injuries.
Vrabel was at the Browns last year, but also had him in Tennessee. He's an experienced right tackle. I could see that. We spoke about the fullback. Potentially Jacob Johnson coming back. But Kari Blasingame was the Titans fullback under Vrabel. He's on the Eagles practice squad. I could see that happening. There will be ex-players from the Titans and the Texans and the Browns that he's worked with that will be keen to come here. I think he can get a pull definitely in free agency. And he's already spoke about the kind of receivers he wants as well. And they basically explain the receivers we don't have. So I think that will be a look position he looks at.
Well, AJ Brown's antics on...
If you buy him a book.
What you said, you should buy him a book.
Buy him a book and he'll come.
Buy him a book and he'll come, yeah. So there was a couple of other questions. The basic one, you don't look much different. And he put, yes, I do. I don't know if that's referring to what you said regarding Bill later on. He said you mentioned you're not Bill. You had a special, unique relationship with him. I feel like he's taken pieces off Bill Belichick in a way, and he's made it use him his own. Go back to that 2019 AFC wildcard. He literally shithoused all over Belichick.
Is that with the penalties, was it?
Yeah, with the penalties and that. And you could just see Belichick getting their headphones just throwing it on the ground, losing it. All you see is Vrabel just doing this, looking around.
Doing the rules, playing the rules.
See, if you saw very close, there's a tiny little smirk out the corner of his mouth. And like, yeah, I've got you. Yeah, you think you can pull this shit on me, old man? No chance.
No.
That was fucking enraged me. When I look back on it now, it goes, that's actually really smart though. You were the hottest name on the coaching cycle this time around. Presumably, you had your picks of jobs, personally, professionally. What really separated choice among the others? This one's a bit.
I'm not sure that's true, to be honest.
I don't think it's true either. I generally think that after the Chargers game, I think Robert Kraft said, "No, fuck this. I've had enough. I've had enough."
I don't know if he had the pick or not.
Well, he was free.
For him going to Jets was just him telling him, "I'm on. You need to come and get me."
Well, you reckon he scaremongered Kraft into doing it?
Yeah,
I mean, 100%. I don't. I mean, I think I can understand that. Just curious, one thing you've learned in your first experience of being a head coach that you want to make sure you apply to your second time around.
I think he even called Brady and he said, "Don't bother because I'm set on New England already." Like he had a conversation with Brady and says, "I'm not going to come."
Mate, there's a level of collusion happening at the Raiders. There really is. Because remember, Brady is co-commentary on Fox, isn't he? Well, who's Fox got for the divisional round this weekend? Washington versus Detroit. And Brady's and the commentators can go down and talk to players and talk to the coaches.
But he can't go down to Johnson, can he?
Yes, he can.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yes, he can. Yes, he can. And I know that's why it's collusion. That's why it's collusion. But the NFL are not going to say a flipping word about it.
I honestly think Johnson might even stay at the Lions. You know, I
don't know why you'd want the Raiders job. I genuinely don't. Like, that job is not appealing. That roster is crap. They don't have a quarterback. Like, that's the worst job on the market for me. I think Dallas could be a dark horse because if that job just come available for Ben Johnson and you can go in there with what they've already got, I think that's not. I think
Sanders is all over that, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe that. Nick's been the man beating the drum for trading down. Maybe we could fleece Dallas and say you can come up. You know, if Shador falls to number 4.
Oh, how much are you gonna? Where are they picking? 11th? No, San Fran. They had a higher.
No, I think
they had a higher drop. I think
it's 12.
From 4 to 12. Drop 8 spots.
They're going Aston Gentry though.
You're gonna.
They'll stay at 12 and go Aston Gentry.
Yeah, I guarantee you that. Anyway, so yeah, he talks a little bit about what he did in his first time round. I've always said this, okay, you don't become a head coach in the NFL until after you get fired. So he'll probably, in his first 5 years, he'd have learned a hell of a lot in how I don't even think he went wrong. His record was 54-45. It's an over 500 head coach. He's gone to 2 AFC championships. I don't think he's a bad head coach. I think Tennessee just shat all over him and it was the worst case scenario. You said at the beginning of the press conference, you knew in your soul this was the place to be. Did you ever envision yourself or dream about this moment here when you were a player or even when you came back for the Hall of Fame induction? Did you ever dream about standing up here as the head coach of the Patriots? I mean, I think probably more so when I started my coaching career. Like, I think it was important to me to go somewhere else, start another coaching journey. The opportunity at one point probably presented itself to be here coaching, but I felt like it brought to force my own path somewhere else, which honestly, I think that's the best thing you should be doing as a head coach. Why would you start your head coaching with the team that you was once there as a player? You probably should learn a few more new ideas, new schemes first at another franchise before if you do get the call up to coach the team that you used to play for, then by all means. And I think Vrabel went the right way about this regarding of Tennessee. How would you describe what type of offense you want to run? How does that tie to the traits that you'll be looking for in the play caller? This is the last question on here. It was a bit long-winded. I think that the offense, again, we mentioned things like aggressive but not reckless. As you already said that, Kieran, we have to be able to take chances. How do we create X plays without having it just throw the ball down the field 50 yards or just sit there taking shots? The creativity we want to be, I would say, versatile enough if the players can handle it. You look at zone scheme in the run game, being able to run gap scheme to things that the defense may do, be under center, be in the gun. But it's also important to understand that everybody has access to this and everybody has experience with different types of offense. But it's what the players can get good at. how much can you easily do? You don't want to dabble in the things you say we're going to dabble in RPOs when the quarterback, that's not a strength of his. Being able to read and pull the ball, there's so much nickel pressure. You know, and he talks a fair bit regarding a blitzing schemes and so on. So that was the end of what he actually said there. So it does, from what we're going from that press conference, there's so much positivity around. It does feel like, you know, more to the point, we have a proper adult in the room now. We have a proper adult who actually knows what he's doing. We are still looking for an OC and a DC. Robert Saleh has gone through 3 different head coaching interviews now. Nothing's been come back from it since yet. So I think we're still going to be waiting around for a while. Ben Johnson, I think you could be right, DJ. He may just stay at the Lions, but remember, he can't really go anywhere or have any interviews or make decisions until after the Lions get knocked out, depending where they get knocked out from. So if it's going past the Super Bowl, he won't be available then until the middle of February. He won't be available until the middle of February, and by that point, then
I think he's comfy where he is.
You got a month until free agency.
Yeah, so, just bide his time, continue under what he's doing. You never know what could happen to Dan Campbell.
I don't think he's going to Chicago.
That's a good shot.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to Chicago, if I'm honest with you.
Because if you look at
the Bears, but the Bears have already signed Mike McCarthy for an interview tomorrow afternoon at the Hallis Hall. Interesting. Not at the facility, but at Hallis Hall at the McCaskies.
Mike McCarthy, genuinely, I don't think he's a very good head coach. I'm not surprised the Dallas Cowboys have not been so desperate to re-sign him. To be honest, I think it's like Pete Carroll interviewing. Why? You're basically going to be in a retirement home in 5 years, Pete. Just have a nice, enjoy the rest of your life. Go on a cruise or 10. Relax. Don't take over a terrible team like the Raiders.
I don't think Pete Carroll knows how to relax.
I don't see why they would have an appeal as coaches, to be honest. But yeah, I'm very happy that we've got Mike Vrabel. I think we've hit a home run. We said about the team's not in a better state because the roster's still the same. But this is a massive upgrade. This is a proven upgrade at a head coach. With all due respect to Gerard Mayo, wish him well. We all wanted it to work. It didn't work. But you've got someone in now that's been coaching a very long time, was a six-year head coach in the NFL, 2 AFC championship games, someone who's much more proven and that just provides an instant upgrade straight away. Based on his philosophy and his culture and the things he says and the things he wants. So that as a baseline is an improvement. But now obviously the work begins off the field with trying to improve the roster.
I wonder if don't rule out Mayo to even maybe come back as the DC coach. I know you guys said no. That's too much of a thingy for him, but
the wound is still the wound is still fresh. I think the wound is still fresh.
I know, but he needs to come to terms as well that he has to understand he wasn't ready for that role. And maybe going into DC under Vrabel will give him, I don't know. I don't think he's that bad of a DC coach if you stick him and just let him focus on DC.
I could see him potentially getting a DC role elsewhere, maybe. I think it's more likely to be an assistant, but teams are going to be looking for coordinators. I could see him latching on elsewhere as a DC. And then potentially, if he does well, then getting himself back in the head coaching sphere. But in the cycle. But I don't think it will be with us yet. If he may come back one day, but I very much doubt that they're going to sack him and then be like, "Oh, come back as DC." A couple of months later, this is not going to happen. But I genuinely don't know who our DC will be because I think we were.
That's a tough one.
Going to be Shane Bowen. It's not going to be so. But it sounds like they're going to interview.
It might be they might not even get anyone. It might be just a couple of coordinators, and Vrabel might run a scheme where he Bill used to do. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of interviews taking place in the next week or so. for both sides of the ball.
If he doesn't get a head coaching job, my head coaching role, that's the guy I want as our DC, Robert Saleh.
The thing is, I would love to have Robert Saleh. Here's the issue, though: is he going to be DC for a while, or is this just a stop in the road for him, just so he can get a head coaching gig the following season? This could be another Buddy Ryan, Houston Oilers type of scenario where he goes in as DC for a year, absolutely balls out until the final game of the season, bails, gets a head coach at Arizona, and then then they completely fall apart. So
I think Vrabel needs to be careful on what he does in that aspect as well, because do you want to go in that role and say, right, I'm going to start to get some experience, DCs and OCs, but bearing in mind they might go to a year, 2 year down the line? Or do you want to get someone in that you can be able to mingle and to develop into someone that's going to stay long term to be able to take his role down the line? Again,
well, we went down the young role of
Belichick and Mayo
with Covington, and he didn't do anything. So
yeah,
I would hire Lou Anarumo if it was me. He's available.
The Bengals.
Bengals, but you can't really blame him for their collapse. Well, I mean,
but their defense was shit.
There were, but they also had injuries as well. But
personnel just did not invest enough in that team. I don't think. Yeah, they drafted players, but they weren't hitting on them. Hendrickson and maybe 2 or 3 players like Logan Wilson were like were carrying that defense. They let Jesse Bates walk. Their secondary was a problem. Like, they didn't really invest in it. So I think that was more on personnel than the coach. I mean, Lou Anarumo 2 years ago was getting head coaching interviews. So I think that would be a good appointment. He's available. There's talk about Patrick Graham from the Raiders because he's got ties to us. Like, that could be potentially something we look at. I don't know. I think there's going to be we're going to hear a lot of names. It's going to be a massive carousel for the next week or so.
I think Salah is the best option, but like Nick says, he might leave in the year or two, or even next year if he does.
I think if he don't get a head coaching job, he's going back to the 49ers. I think that'll be his safety blanket.
We'll see. We'll have to see.
Interestingly, Carl, just one for you. Okay. I did see that the Michigan DC, obviously Wink Martindale has a lot of NFL experience. He's taken a couple of DC interviews in the NFL. How would you feel about that? Because that's someone I'd be really on board with, because that guy is a defensive guru. Like, you'd have to buy him out of his Michigan contract, but like, he was a DC at the Ravens. He's got a lot of experience. Like, I'd be all over that if he's available.
I understand why. I'm not against the idea of him being DC, but as a Michigan Wolverines fan, because we've got this new high-profile quarterback on our mitts, and Jerome Moore done a pretty sustainable job as head coach, we do need to keep hold of Wink Martindale as DC, I would probably say, if I was on the Michigan side of things, because we're not going to go 7-5 again like we did this season. We will be better because Davis Warren, I think is it Warren Davis? I don't know. No, Warren Davis is that fucking midget comedian. Davis Warren, sorry. He couldn't throw a football to save his life. So I think I'm not against the idea, but I probably think he will stay at Michigan if I'm not mistaken. But I wouldn't mind Wink Martindale. I honestly wouldn't. Anyhow. Right, gentlemen, we're going to get on out of here. That's the end of our reaction to Mike Vrabel's press conference. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Make sure you smash the like button on the way out. Hit the subscribe button while you're at it. Tell all your friends. Follow us on all our social media platforms. Follow the podcast on Spotify and on Apple. And remember, keep watching us live on Twitch as well for all our live podcasts and so on. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the show. Hopefully, we might find out who our OC and DC is by then. But if not, we'll still come back with some news. But for now, Mike Vrabel's our new head coach. Let's run through a brick wall through this guy. Good night. God bless. Go Patriots.